Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. I am Brian Emhauser, and I'm with you on this Tuesday as the Seattle Seahawks and the rest of the NFL are making their roster decisions. At least their initial 53-man roster must be set in 35 minutes. Yes, that's right. 1 p.m. Pacific time is when rosters are set to be finalized, and finalized is in quotes because if you've been a football fan for a while, you know that teams do their initial 53, and then by tomorrow when they're doing practice squad signings and waiver claims, the 53 can change, and even through the rest of the week it can change, and as we know, through the season. So this is the initial 53. There can be some decisions that are made. We'll talk about those. Some of those decisions have already been made. We will start there. Before I get into all the news, and by the way, because we're doing this show live, there'll be more news, I'm pretty sure, that will come out during the episode. That's kind of the point. And I'll react to that in real time as it happens. So, like I said, before we get into that, give the show a like, click subscribe, click the bell to get notified when we go live, because today's an odd day. We're going to get into a normal schedule once the season starts, but this week is going to be a little bit up and down, and the Seahawks have moved their schedule around today. So I'll be heading to the VMAC a little bit later to check out what's going on there. And then we've got the Seahawks Collective show tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific time, as opposed to 5 p.m., partially because the Seahawks had moved the schedule around, and then I forgot I had a doctor's appointment. I'm going to be doing that show in my car, probably in a parking lot somewhere outside my doctor's office. I don't know. It's going to be a little bit of a wacky day. So bear with us, bear with me, and we'll get you through it. Okay. One last thing. If you have not followed already at Instagram, on Instagram.com/hawkblogger, go there now, do a quick follow, only take a second. We are like 350 follows away from me giving away club level seats for the Seahawks versus 49ers. And I will tell you right now, if you're like, someone reached out to me yesterday and was like, man, I'd love those seats. I want to bring my friend who's a 49ers fan. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting these tickets. Like, there's zero chance. I'm going to do a thorough vetting of anybody that I decide to give these tickets to, and it's only going to Seahawks fans. 100%. I don't care if they're your best friends. You are not getting tickets from me and using them to bring a 49ers fan in. Absolutely not. And if you do, there will be hell to pay. So, all right. Anyway, give us a follow on Instagram. That's the main point. All right. So let's get right into it. There are some moves that have already been made, and feel free to shout stuff out in chat. If things happen while I'm talking, I'll do my best to react, and I've got all my notifications on as well. So we'll see as it goes. So I've simplified this for the show today. I'm going to talk about, I've got in green who I've projected to be on the 53-man roster. There's some exceptions to that, but mostly that's the case. And then in this orange color are the folks that we already know have been released, cut, or traded, and I'll talk about that as we go through each individual one. And I'll also talk about the implications of each of these. So what do we know so far? I actually think Wesley Sneijder and Anthony Tyus have also been released, but I can't confirm that. I don't think I saw them at practice yesterday. So, most likely they're gone, but officially that has not happened. In any event, Damian Martinez, the report is he has been released. And we've talked about this for a while. Damian Martinez was a guy that I think a lot of us were super high on as a 7th round pick. And he just didn't outperform George Holani. And I'm not sure if Kenny McIntosh hadn't been injured. I'm not sure he was above Kenny McIntosh either. So I think it's been an uphill battle for him. He does not make it. I still think the projection I had for the running back room is going to be accurate, but we will find out. I see in chat that we are getting word that Ricky White has been cut. I'm going to double check this. Brady. Yes, Brady has reported that Ricky White has been released. So let's go ahead and make Ricky. Let's make Ricky the right color, which will involve me unfortunately having to figure out. There we go. I've got it zoomed in here, so we got a little bit of an issue with getting the right view. But anyway, so Damian Martinez cut. And then let's get to the big news. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has been cut, not traded, not on the roster. He's cut. And as far as I know, and I'm gonna take some wins and I'm gonna take some losses, but as far as I know, I'm the first person that projected MVS to not make the roster, even if he was not traded. And I went on with Brock and Salk last week and talked to them about it, and they were like, really? And all my compatriots in the media room were doubtful that this would happen because of his guaranteed salary. But I think what ended up being the case, and the reason this happened, is the reason I came to this conclusion in the first place. Marquez Valdez-Scantling does not play special teams. He had been beaten out by Torrey Horton in the depth chart, very clearly beaten out. And once that happened, then you don't keep a veteran who's going to sit on the bench and do nothing and maybe not even be active on game weeks. That's not a logical way to go. I think it's disappointing that the Seahawks weren't able to get anything in a trade for him, but that's the state of things. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if the Seahawks end up facing MVS in week 1 of the regular season if the 49ers end up deciding to scoop him up because they're so thin at the receiver spot. The Jets are another team that have been looking. The Vikings have been looking, so we'll see. I think the Vikings are narrowing down to Adam Thielen, but who knows? So, got nothing against MVS. I wish him the best. Enjoyed talking to him when he was here, but he was not the guy during the preseason. Did not make plays, was not beating guys down the field, was not making contested catches, had a few nice days towards the very last week of camp and in this game against the Packers, but that was it. So, someone's trying to tell me some Google Sheets tips while I'm on here. I don't know if I'll be able to manage that. Figuring that out. The format painter tool. I don't know if I'm going to figure that out while I'm on the show, but thank you for the tip. So my projections still seem solid at this point. I have them keeping 5. I have them keeping JSN, Cooper Kupp, Torrey Horton Jr., Derek Young, and Jake Bobo. I still think those are going to be the 5. And we'll go from there. Yes. Everyone's trying to help me with Google Sheets. That's so funny. All right. So we'll find out about Steven Sims. That's another one that's worth figuring out. There's question there. I don't have them keeping him. Cody White, everyone's jumped on this thing and Cody White's going to make the roster. It's possible. I mean, it's possible. Cody White is a guy that certainly can do a lot of the things that Jake Bobo and Derek Young do, but I don't know that he does any of them better than those guys. And so would you keep a third guy that's a big-bodied wide receiver who's also a special teams player? I don't know. For me, Derek Young and Jake Bobo are clearly ahead of Cody White. And with that, I don't know why Cody White makes it. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, but that would surprise me if he did. Tyron Broden, we have not heard about yet. And then we just heard about Ricky White from Brady, and John Rice Plumlee. We haven't officially heard, but I didn't see him yesterday, so I kind of put him on this list. And like I said, here, let's try this. Everyone's so excited about this paint format tool. So is that here? Whoops. We'll do this, and we'll do this. Is this what you guys are trying? Oh, look at that. Isn't everybody excited? Did I make people happy? that I use the paint format tool. All right, good. We have not heard about Jacardier Wright yet, as far as I know. And so that gets us going a little further. So tight end. I am putting Marshall Lang on this list, even though it hasn't been officially announced yet, because I did not see him at practice. So take that for what it's worth. I still have the 4 guys. I'm expecting Barner, Arroyo, Saubert, and Brady Russell making the team. So far, no upsets there, so to speak. Offensive line. Let's talk about offensive line. So Charles Cross, Abe Lucas, Gray Zabel, Jalen Sundell, Anthony Bradford, Olu, Timmy, Josh Jones. All those guys are fine. Mike Jarrell was traded. So they were able to get something for Mike Jarrell, but they were not able to get anything for MVS. And they got a 2027 7th round conditional pick. I mean, I think the Rams got a 2028 conditional pick for one of their players. So teams are certainly reaching. I mean, a conditional pick can be a lot of things, folks. The Mike Jarrell pick could be conditional on they might not get anything if he doesn't make the roster or he doesn't play a certain amount of snaps. It could mean that if he does reach certain escalators, that it increases from a 7th round pick to a 6th round pick. So conditional just can mean a lot of different things. It wouldn't surprise me if it's maybe a 2-sided condition. If he doesn't make the roster, they end up not having to give up the pick. If he does stick around, he meets some playtime escalator kind of things, then maybe the Seahawks get a higher draft pick compensation. But in any event, I'm a little bummed Mike Jarrell's off the team. I really liked Mike, got to know him, his family a little bit. He's worked really hard. I thought he looked good in camp. I thought, especially early, I thought he was a much more sturdy pass protector than Josh Jones. I liked him a lot at left tackle. I think he's a fine developmental guy, but he wasn't going to make the roster. If they made this move, he wasn't going to make the roster. So that's interesting. We'll talk about what that means in a second. Now, Dalton Reisner, I had projected to sign. As far as I know, I think that there's a little more smoke than fire here, that he has not visited the Seahawks. I'm starting to get the feeling that what's going on here is that the agent floated that he was going to visit these other teams in order to probably drive up the price for the Bengals, because the Seahawks don't have a starting job for him. The Bengals do. And so my guess, I'm starting to change my perspective here that he is not going to be a Seahawk most likely. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but I don't think that's looking like where it's going. This is not official. This is just me reading tea leaves. And so I think I'm kind of pulling back from that expectation at this point. Luke Felix Fualalo did get released, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check yes, he did get released. That's confirmed. So he is gone. And so what does this mean, the Mike Jarrell move? Let's talk about this for a second, because if you look at the guys that I have them keeping, let's see if I can get this a little bit higher set. Okay, if you look at the guys that I have them keeping, you've got 1, 2, 3 guys that play tackle. And Josh Jones can play swing. He can play both sides. And then you've got a guy Jalen Sundell has played some tackle before, but I don't think that's a plan to stick with. Gray Zabel played tackle in college, but they haven't had him play anything there, and I don't think that's the plan. I think that means Mason Richmond makes the squad. And Mason Richmond initially started out camp working at right tackle, then moved to guard, then moved to center. They've kind of moved him around. I've had him making the roster, and then yesterday I bumped him off so that Reisner would make it. So I think Mason Richmond probably makes it. I'd be a little surprised if Bryce Cabledew makes it. I think he's had a really rough camp. The other guy to keep an eye on is Amari Kite. So this was an undrafted free agent that played for Alabama, then went to UCF, and 6'7", very athletic, had some good moments in preseason. And maybe they like his fit with what they're doing more than Jarrell. I don't know, but it's possible. Like the surprise one here would be Amari Kite making it. I don't think it's out of the question, but my bet is Mason Richmond is the guy. But I've got them projected to keep 9. And again, if you weren't watching the show yesterday, I've got them projected to make Christian Haynes an IR player. I think they're going to put him on IR. We'll find out about that. But this is, 3, 6, 7, 8. So this would be like 9. I like maybe Bryce Cabledew does make it. That would just be really. I mean, I really like Bryce Cabledew as a guy, but he's had a really rough go of it in camp and in the preseason. So I don't know. Like, it just depends on what John Benton and that staff, who they like and who they want to keep around. Now, Federico Merenges is going to be a guy who is an international player that they can get onto the practice squad. He'll be like their 17th practice squad player. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But yeah, offensive line's one to watch. Now, I don't think they're going to go out and add someone that was like claim someone off waivers. Could they go out and sign a veteran? Sure. Would they go to 8 players on the offensive line? That would be a surprise. They kept 11 last year, so 8 would be a drastic drop. So that's one I'm definitely keeping an eye on. All right, moving on. Interior defensive line. We've got one bit of news there in that Bubba Thomas has not made the team. He has been waived or released, I think is the correct term. We don't have any news on anyone else yet. I still think J.R. Singleton has an outside shot to make it. I think Mike Morris is a guy to watch. Mike McDonald yesterday had some interesting reaction when we asked him about Mike Morris, and he kind of looked at Dave Pearson like, can I say anything or not? And then just said he's in the concussion protocol. So I don't know. Something feels like it might be afoot with Mike Morris. We'll find out. The rest of this seems relatively straightforward. I do think Brandon Peely makes it. Mike McDonald talked about him being on the same schedule as Tyrese Knight and Torrey Horton. I should go back and talk Torrey Horton for a second, but the fact that he's talking about him like 2 guys that we know are on the roster makes me pretty confident that Brandon Peely is going to make it. The Mike Morris thing I'm curious about. I definitely am curious about. Torrey Horton, I see all these folks like, man, the wide receiver room's really thin now without MVS. Just to kind of go back to this again, this team's going to play a lot of 12, 22, 21 personnel where there's going to be 2 receivers on the field, sometimes 1 receiver on the field. And that's going to be like the top 3 guys. And assuming Torrey Horton's ready, which I think he will be, then what are we talking about? Like the 4th receiver is barely going to see the field. And guys like Jake Bobo and Derek Young have done plenty to earn the confidence of the coaching staff to say, yeah, if we need someone on the field, these guys are pros, know what they're doing, can block for us, can run the routes, can do just fine. So I'm not saying it's the most talented receiving core the Seahawks have ever had, but I think it's a good thing. It is a good thing that Torrey Horton has played well enough that the team felt it was worth eating a guaranteed salary from MVS. Like that's exceptionally good news. And I don't know why people would have any other reaction to it other than that. All right. So let's get on to inside linebacker. This was another surprise. Patrick O'Connell has been released. And this one's interesting. Now, if I go back to last year, Patrick O'Connell, I had him higher on the list. I had him not making the team, just below Michael Barrett last year. If you remember Michael Barrett, the Seahawks traded was it Darrell Taylor that ended up getting? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they got Michael Barrett. They let him go. But they kept Drake Thomas last year. Patrick O'Connell, the reason that this is surprising is that he has been the starter next to Ernest Jones throughout camp. And even with Tyrese Knight coming back, you'd kind of figure he would still be someone that they'd want to keep around. Well, I think the expectation here is that they can get him to, yes, they traded Mike Jackson. Thank you, Matt from Beaverton. I think the expectation is that they will be able to get him onto the practice squad. And keep in mind, the practice squad gets set tomorrow, and the practice squad, you can elevate a player 3 times during the season before you have to add them to the 53. So they could sneak Patrick O'Connell to the practice squad and still be able to have him available for week 1, depending on how they want to shuffle the roster and how things are looking. But I will just say that there's this different factor at large now this year, which is Pete Carroll's now back in the NFL, and Pete Carroll has familiarity with some of these players. Patrick O'Connell is one of those players. And so depending, are we sure that he gets to the practice squad? Is there a chance that the Raiders, go out there and nab him? I think there's more of a risk than there has been. Now, I had the Seahawks keeping 5 linebackers. I had them keeping Josh Ross, who's nobody seems to talk about, but I think is a very good special teams player, and I thought had a really good camp until he got hurt. And he's been back even with a club on his hand, a cast. Drake Thomas, Mike McDonald has been saying nice things about. Feels like he's a really good fit at their dime linebacker position. Jamie Sheriff is one to watch. I think they really like Jamie Sheriff. He has been pulled on to another team's 53 last year. Carolina pulled him onto their 53, ended up waiving him, and then the Seahawks got him back on their practice squad. He's been playing inside linebacker. He's shown some real promise, but I didn't see enough that I thought that they would put him on the 53. The chances here are that Brady Henderson reported that inside linebacker is a position the Seahawks might be looking to add to. And I'll just say this about that. It's odd to me that now, August 26th, on Cutdown Day, the team's looking for depth at the inside linebacker spot. It was pretty clear that they needed additional players at that position as soon as last season ended. It's the same names. These are the same names. They haven't changed really. But they didn't spend a draft pick on that position. They didn't add anyone in free agency. And so why now? Why? This is the best time to find depth at your inside linebacker spot? That feels odd to me. And maybe it's a very minor critique of all things to say, hey, your inside linebacker position, you need better depth. Okay, not the biggest deal. But it's odd to me that Mike McDonald, who knows linebackers as well or better than anybody else, looked at his depth and was like, nope, we're good until now. Anyway, so that's a little surprising, but we'll see what they do there. And there could be some more news coming on that front. All right. Derek Jackson has been released, and Alfonso Tuputala has been released. Alfonso Tuputala has done really well, but he just came for a cup of coffee at the very end. So he had an impossible task to try to make this roster. All right. Edge. As of right now, my projected edge players to make the roster still look fine. I've got them keeping 5: Derek Hall, DeMarcus Lawrence, Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu, Jared Ivey. And we haven't heard, this isn't confirmed. These are just my projections. That's why they're in green. Tyreek Smith, we have heard, has been released. Seth Coleman also has been released. And I think the Tyreek Smith news is probably pretty good sign for Jared Ivey. But we'll see. Jalen Gaines has been hurt, so he would be probably an injury waiver. But, I don't think there's no chance he's going to make the 53. All right, so let's keep going. We get to cornerback, and so far my projections seem fine there with Witherspoon, Woolen, Josh Jobe, Shaquille Griffin, and Nehemiah Pritchett. One thing to watch with Griffin is a vet. There is a small chance that maybe the Seahawks will look at him and say, well, let's try to do what we did back in 2012 or 13 with, oh my gosh, what was his name? He's an interior defensive lineman. Basically, if they don't want to guarantee the contract as a veteran, they release him and then they sign him after the first week of the season. So if you have a player that's on the roster for the first game of the year as a veteran, their contract is guaranteed for the year. So sometimes what you'll see is teams let somebody go and then sign them back. They've done this with Artie Burns in past years, for example. So keep an eye. Like, it's possible that they'd do that with Shaquille Griffin. So he might be a surprise cut that actually isn't a cut, but they then be taking a risk that some other team might sign him. We'll kind of see what happens in that regard. Nehemiah Pritchett, I think, makes it, but we have heard Demarion Williams, who I thought had an outside chance of making it, was released. Asas Waxter, cornerback, who I think they'll probably try to get back to practice squad, was released. And then Kadrain Callaghan was released. I saw somewhere that, he's a practice squad candidate. I would be shocked. Honestly, he has not been very good from what I've seen. Safety, Jarek Reed was released. Really, really love Jarek. And I think there's a chance he's back, but I also think there's definitely a chance he gets sniped by another team. Really, really good special teams player. I think a promising safety overall. And so he's gone. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, that means Ty Okada made it. Not necessarily. Everyone seems to have lost track of DeAnthony Bell. I still think DeAnthony Bell is ahead of Ty Okada. I also think Ty Okada is a guy that they've, just like Patrick O'Connell, snuck onto the practice squad for years, including last year, and were able to elevate him a few times to the active roster. So I still don't think Ty Okada makes it, but he might. Wouldn't hate that if it does happen. And then, sorry, just taking a look at notifications. So yeah, that's kind of like where we're at. Let me do a quick check to see if anything else has changed since the last time we talked. Side news, G. Scott Jr. Was just waived by the Patriots. So tough day for G. Scott and the family, but wish them well. Let's see. I see in chat people are talking about make a trade for Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is like a slot player. So the Seahawks already have plenty of slot players. They don't need another one. And I just don't think that they're going to I don't think that they are going to yeah, I'm just double checking. Yeah. Well, I mean, he played 300 snaps out of the slot last year and 590 outside. So he did play some outside. But I don't see it. I don't see them making a trade for a receiver like that. So that's kind of where things stand right now. And let's kind of go back through in terms of the implications. Like, where could they potentially grab someone? I think offensive line is a key area. I thought Issa Pohl is a guy that went to Washington State, made a visit, an official 30 visit to the Seahawks. Now, it wasn't a 30 visit, it's a local visit, so it doesn't count against 30, but I'm not going to get into all the details. Anyway, he had a really good preseason for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have kind of been stacked at the tackle position, and he was released. Is there a chance that the Seahawks go after Pohl here? Sure. But it's just hard for me to imagine that John Benton's going to have worked with these guys day in, day out, and then say, yeah, just give me a guy I haven't worked with at all that's a rookie, and let's go from there. Like, maybe. But I think this is just a position to watch in general. Maybe there's a veteran that they look at. Guard, I look at the backup guard situation, and Josh Jones has played guard at times, so he can be a guard, but he's also your backup tackle. Mason Richmond has backed up multiple positions, so that could happen. I don't know. I think guard and tackle are ones to watch, and maybe the Reisner thing ends up becoming a real thing. But as far as I know now, I think that's been agent created and not something the Seahawks have scheduled a visit or anything like that with him. So I think that's the status there. I think and then receiver, I guess we'll see what happens with Sims and Cody White. Maybe there'll be something there. Maybe Derek Young has made it through waivers before. Maybe they'll feel like they can do that there and they'll keep Sims. I don't know. But I think for the most part, this is going to be pretty chalk. And what I said earlier this morning on Twitter is it's been a long time since I feel like I've gone into a cutdown day like this and not felt like there was this position where the Seahawks need to get lucky and jump on a player. I don't feel that way. I think the offensive line's in pretty good shape. I think that the inside linebacker position, depth, sure. If you can do something there, fine. I don't think if they just go with what they have, that it's awful. Maybe they do something at edge, like the Jadeveon Clowney thing that we've talked about, but I don't know that. I think the emergence of Jared Ivey may have made them feel less needy to go do something like that, because Jared Ivey's also a big edge player and young and under club control and has some upside. So I feel like the roster is really pretty solid. And I think they feel pretty good. People keep talking about nose tackle, and I'm like, there's a reason Jonathan Hankins has not come off NFI, and it's because Brandon Peely and Quentin Bohanna have played well, and well enough that I think both of them make the roster. And then J.R. Singleton is an outside shot as well. He's also played nose. And then you've got Byron Murphy and Jaron Reed, who also can play that position. So I don't think nose tackle's a need. And I don't think that you're going to go out and grab one of those guys now. Now, it's possible, but I just don't. I'm not sure I see that happening. All right, let's get through some of these super chats. There's a bunch of super chats. Let me go here. Okay. Blaze, who's been a member for 6 months, says week 1, beat belt to ass to the Niners. I will be there. Well, I'm glad and I appreciate the enthusiasm. I certainly, I'm looking forward to that game. Detail Car Pro has been a member for 15 months, a year and 3 months. Says Cutdown Day. Real football is officially here. I'm so excited this year. Something tells me this year is going to be really special. Call it being a homer if you want, but there is just something about this team. Well, I love that perspective. Saggy says, could we go after Hendrickson now he's signed? No, that's kind of the opposite. Like he's going to be a Bengal. That's where he's going to stay. He got a raise for this year and then will be a free agent next year. And I never really thought that was a strong possibility. It's not a possibility at all now. And let me play a sound for you guys kind of related to this topic. And then this is from Mike McDonald's press conference yesterday. I asked him a video or asked him a question about 1 second, guys. Okay, I got it. All right. So let me share this with all of you. I asked Mike McDonald yesterday, and this is my thought here is related to Micah Parsons. They've been working really hard to build a certain identity and culture in that locker room, and I think it's working. And those guys feel really tight. I think they have a really good vibe, very football focused, very like teammate focused. There's not a lot of drama or, people being above other people. It seems like a pretty good thing. And so I asked Mike McDonald yesterday, you've worked on that. How much do you factor in like personality and maybe disrupting that vibe that you've got versus the talent? And maybe you just want to bring in talent. And here's what Mike McDonald said.
It's a great question, but it's a great question, and it matters. It's definitely at the forefront of the conversations. It's this is our team, and so the people that we bring in, whether it's off the field or players or staff or what, I mean, that really matters. Uh, there's a sliding scale to a certain extent, but we want Seahawks, and as our coaches, staff, uh, players, obviously, but that's really important.
So I think that says a lot. And the fact that he's like, that's a really good question. That's a great question. I I think you can just tell how much that's on his mind. And I've pushed Coach McDonald on this before where I was like, but before the draft, like you guys want guys that love football and are, good people and all that, but how much can, sometimes you need a little crazy to be an excellent NFL player. And he was pretty adamant back then that look at Leonard Williams, look at Ernest Jones, look at Devin Withers. Like you have guys that are excellent football players that are also really stand-up guys and great in the locker room. And so I think he believes that to his core. So one aspect of this is I just don't think Micah Parsons is even on their radar. I don't think that he's a guy. Aden Dirty knows him. DeMarcus Lawrence knows him. I don't think that they are even considering him because I don't think he's the kind of personality that they want. That's my read. And the other aspect of this, though, which like on its face sounds really honorable and noble and like, yeah, we're doing things the right way. The other way to look at it is I was given advice or feedback a long time ago in my working life where you're more valuable. The more people that you can work with, the more valuable you are. And if you're someone who can only work with somebody who does everything the right way all the time and is really attentive and really hard worker, and if that's the class of person you need to excel, then you're limiting yourself. So there is a spectrum. And Pete Carroll, to his credit, was willing to take on some big personalities because he was comfortable and confident in his ability to manage that in the locker room. Now, it led to all sorts of craziness, but it also led to greatness. Now, you have to be kind of a master chemist to be able to manage something like that. But that's the downside of this philosophy that I think has started to take shape, which is they want to really curate the personalities in that locker room and the type of people, which on its face, I think makes sense and could be a really good way to go. It could also mean that you walk away from generational talent. Micah Parsons is a generational talent. It's possible that if you got Micah Parsons, you win a Super Bowl. Now, you might say, well, we're not going to take that risk because we don't want him messing up the locker room. Fine. Winning cures a lot. So I think he talked about that there's a sliding scale. He did not say they would never add somebody who had a challenging personality, but I just thought that was a pretty important thing to hear from Coach McDonald about how he's thinking about things right now. All right. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else while I was in here. Let me do a quick check, and then I'll get to more super chats. Yeah, so we're at 1:00, by the way. And the Seahawks will have practice starting at 1:30 or so. I'm going to stay here. And then I'm going to head into the VMAC for some player interviews a little bit later. So I'll be with you hopefully when everything gets announced. All right, let me get through some super chats as we keep going here. Here we go. Super Sauce XL. You might have seen, but Football 301 with Nate Tice had both hosts pick the Hawks to win the division. Some optimism in the national media. Yeah, I did see it. I didn't watch it yet, but I did see it. And it's good. It's good. It shows that somebody's not just a fish, a puppet, just mimicking what everyone else is saying. And I think Nate has been open about the fact he's been a little optimistic about this Seahawks team more so than others all the way since they started making the moves that everybody else hated. So respect that from Nate. Brenty Yoanda says, fingers crossed on tickets. If not, I think I will do the Saints game for my first ever. Got a Reek jersey coming. He'll have the year he needs to re-sign. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. That'd be good. We got a new member, Chad Roraback. Welcome to YouTube. Great to have you, man. Appreciate you. And then we got a question from Anton. Says, so when are extensions coming? Maybe a trade? I don't know that there's going to be any trades coming down the pike at this point. Extensions, I would have thought would have happened already. It's not out of the question that they happen before the first game of the season, but they don't generally happen during the season. So Kobe Bryant's been the guy I've been waiting for. I thought he would be the most likely to sign, but so far, nothing. We do get a chance to talk to John Schneider this week, so we'll see if he's got any thoughts on that. Robbie Red says, thanks, Brian, for the great content. Go Hawks. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you watching. Detail Car Pro. I'm truly disappointed we didn't keep Mike Jarrell. That said, I'm excited to see what happens this year. It's going to be special. Yeah, I think, I generally, again, back in my life when I was managing and leading people, I used to really be bummed when someone good would leave, and I'd like, oh man, that sucks. And I learned pretty quickly that it's always the best. If it's not the right place for him, if you're not in a spot where you're going to be utilized and embraced, then Mike Jarrell's better off going to a team that sees a role for him. So I wish Mike the best. I enjoyed covering him while he was here, and hopefully he plays great with Mike Penix. That would be great. Neo Pangea says, Hawks have only 2 waiver claims over Schneider's tenure that had a lasting impact: DJ Reed and Patrick Lewis. Is this bad or par for the course? I think waiver claims are, they're a flyer, man. You're talking about claiming somebody that was waived off of a 53-man roster after, the draft, after, all the other practices and games. These are guys that are fringe NFL players. And if you hit any of them, that's pretty good. And DJ Reed is an amazing get off of waivers. And Patrick Lewis started some games for you, which he wasn't the greatest center, but he did start some games for you. So that's also pretty good. but no, I don't know. I mean, I could go back and compare GM's waiver claim history, but my God, I think I have. there is a limit to my obsession with football, the Seahawks, the NFL. I think you might have found it. Evan Hill says, Brian, please rank the beat reporters. Thanks for your super chat, Evan. No, I will not do that. I will say that, I've been pretty clear. I think Brady Henderson is, for me, the standard on the beat in terms of not only always fact checking and verifying his sources, but also the fact that he has connections to agents and team, and he gets, of the local guys, he's the most likely to actually get information. That's why today, you don't see any of the other beat reporters like sharing who got waived before anyone else or released, because Brady's plugged in. So I just think Brady does a really good job. He's non-emotional about it. He's literally just doing what a beat reporter should do, is reporting it. Bob Condotta, for me, is like the patriarch of the room and has been doing this for a long time. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge about the Seahawks and the NFL and rules. And, so he's really, really good. And those are the two guys for me that kind of stand out. I think there's also other guys, other people in that room that do a really good job, but those are probably, for me, the guys that I've learned to really pay attention really closely to their stuff and learn a lot from them. All right. Evan Hill says, cop out answer, I want a refund. No refunds. No refunds. In fact, you will take it and you will like it, Evan Hill. Speaking of Evan Hill, tomorrow night, Wednesday night at 6:00 p.m. Pacific time, Evan and the whole crew will be joining me for our official prediction show. So we're going to do that Wednesday night, 6:00. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll have Josh Cashman. We'll have Jeff Simmons, Nathan Ernst, Derek Gebby, Dano Gorman, all the crew. And then I'm still trying to get this worked out. I'm lazy enough. I haven't done enough work for it yet, but Thursday I'm kind of planning to do, if I can make it happen, like a full day season preview. And I'm going to try to get like a ton of guests in to talk about the 49ers. I'll have Grant Cohn probably on, and I'll try to get a Rams person on, and I'll try to get a Cardinals person on, and I'll try to get some folks from the Steelers and other places where the Seahawks are going to be playing, and just kind of get a preview of that. I'll try to have some other just fun guests that I can just pull in. That means I have to ask them all and, schedule it. I'm going to try to see if I can do it a little ad hoc, but I think Thursday, I'm hoping it's going to be fun. Maybe it'll end up being a total flop, but who knows? I'm in my own little tiny corner of the internet. No one will really know. All right. So let's take a look, see if there's anything else that has. Okay, here's something from Brady Henderson. Nehemiah Pritchett has made the initial 53. So that is a confirmation of someone making it as opposed to someone not making it. That's cool. Let's see if there's anything else coming down the pike here. Okay, so Chris Paul Jr., the linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams, 5th round pick this year, was released. That could be a name to watch for the Seahawks. Part of what happened there is Sean Dolak, an undrafted free agent, just had a fantastic camp for them. He might end up being a starter for them. So that pushed out Chris Paul. A lot of Rams fans are really upset about Chris Paul not making the roster. So he's a name just to keep an eye on. On the 49ers, undrafted rookie Drew Moss, an offensive lineman, made the initial roster. This is a guy that a lot of 49ers fans were worried was going to get sniped if he didn't get on the initial roster. So that's a little bit of news there. Brennan Jackson getting cut from the Rams was something to keep in mind, just because they've got a really stacked outside edge group. They got Jared Verse, Byron Young. They drafted Josiah Stewart. Brennan Jackson had, I think, 2 or 3 sacks in the preseason out of Washington State. I don't think the Seahawks go and grab him, but I think he's an interesting player. And when you've got teams like that that are completely stacked at one position, you always want to kind of pay attention to who they let go. So the Rams have announced their roster. Let's see. I'm scrolling through to see if there's any other news worth knowing. 49ers released veteran wide receiver Russell Gage. This is a guy that was, I think he got hurt, but he was playing well for them. Let's see. Wow. So the 49ers waived Sebastian Valdez, a defensive tackle who had a pretty good preseason for them. And I think they liked him quite a bit. So interesting kind of nose tackle-y news there. All right. Just keeping my eye out for other things. I'm not looking at you guys' chat. So if you're frantically telling me about things, I'm not seeing it quite yet. Okay. Here's some news. Demarcus Robinson has been suspended officially for 3 games by the NFL for violating the league's policy on substance abuse. He will not be eligible to play until week 4, so he will miss the first game. So that's some news that affects the Seahawks. Yeah, I think that's where we're at right now. I think we'll want to keep an eye out on the 49ers and what they do at the wide receiver position, because they're going to be without Brandon Ayuk. They're going to be without Demarcus Robinson. Jawan Jennings, kind of curious what happens there. Arizona is another one to watch. There's a lot of folks on the Arizona roster that they were talking about maybe putting on IR. And, that the Seahawks play them in week 4. So if they put someone on IR, or if they put someone on, keep someone on PUP, then they won't be available for that first game against the Seahawks. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Just trolling through. Eagles have announced their roster. Okay, who did they let go? Anyone interesting? I'm looking through. I mean, Kenyon Green, the guard that they traded for from Houston. Just keep in mind, everyone's like, oh, when the Eagles make a trade, especially for an offensive lineman, they're going to be great. Well, they traded for Kenyon Green, who's a former first-round pick for Houston, and they waived him. Kyle McCord is an interesting one. I don't think the Seahawks are going to do anything. They're fine at quarterback, but I like him. Eli Ricks, the cornerback, kind of interesting. But honestly, a little surprised that I look at the people that they let go and there's not many interesting names. So makes me wonder how deep that Eagles roster is compared to past years. Let's see. The Lions have done their moves. So they released anyone. I thought the fact that they released Dan Skipper was interesting. He's been an extra tackle for them and a fan favorite. So maybe they're going to bring him back for something else, but that was a bit surprising. Ooh, they placed Miles Frazier, Aleem McNeil, and Malcolm Rodriguez on PUP. Miles Frazier, the guard that I really liked, the rookie, interesting there. Okay, so that's Lions. Taking a look through some of these others. Falcons are placing tackle Caleb McGarry on IR. Unclear how much of the season he'll miss. So we'll see if the Seahawks end up facing him later in the year. I think it's a season-ending thing, but we'll find out. Willie Lampkin was waived and as injured. I really like Willie Lampkin. I would love it if the Seahawks signed him. My guess is the Rams will probably try to bring him back. Dylan McMahon, a center. I really liked him as well. Athletic center, late round pick. They re-signed him into a futures deal, brought him back. Those are a couple names that are kind of interesting to me. I think Jabbar Muhammad, formerly of the Huskies, formerly of the Ducks, he was let go by the Dolphins, I believe, even though he had a pretty strong camp. It was either Dolphins or the Jags, some Florida team. The Commanders place guard Sam Cosmi on the PUP list, so he'll be out for at least the first 4 weeks. Let's see who they have let go. And then I'll check the Seahawks. We'll see if we've got anything going on there. Yeah, nothing particularly. I don't think the Commanders roster's that great, to be honest. So let me see if the Seahawks have their stuff up. Of course they don't, because the Seahawks don't do that. We're probably going to find out pretty soon when the reporters go out to practice. I'm not there, as you can tell. I'm going to hang out with you guys, and then I'm going to head in afterwards. Let's see if we go around the site. Have they maybe updated the site? Let's see. No, they have not. Player roster still it's not updated. So nothing new yet on the Seahawks that I've been able to see. Yep. And then it looks like there was another super chat, but I'm not seeing. I must have missed it. Yeah. So people asking, just to recap right now, the deadline was 1:00. So the Seahawks have filed their roster changes. It is not surprising that they are a team that has not yet actually shared their stuff. So it's already happened half an hour ago. The Seahawks are always late to announce this stuff. I don't know why. But let me show you, for people that are coming late, here's what we know. We'll start all the way at this side. Jarek Reed has been released. Demarion Williams, the cornerback. Asas Waxter, Kadrain Callaghan, been released. Seth Coleman, Tyreek Smith, the edge players, released. Derek Jackson, Alfonso Tupatala, and Patrick O'Connell the linebackers have been released. Bubba Thomas, the defensive tackle, has been let go. Mike Jarrell has been traded. Luke Felix Fualalo, the tackle, has been released. Marshall Lang has, not officially, but I think I didn't see him yesterday, so I'm saying Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the receiver, has been traded. Ricky White and John Rice Plumlee have been released. Damian Martinez, Wesley Steiner, Anthony Tyus have been released. So that's where things stand as of now. Just check to see if there's any other names that have been added. Zach Triner, the long snapper, has been released, but I'm not going to put him on there because he was just there until Chris Stoll, the long snapper, could get healthy. And Chris Stoll's, I think, going to be certainly back for the first game of the season. So that's just not big deal. All right. Well, we're going to hang out here for a little while. I can probably take... Oh, looks like we've got some other news. Let me double check, make sure I can verify. All right. So Jamie Sheriff has been added to the waived list, Let's put him on this. So I know everyone they taught me a new trick. There we go. He has been added to the list. So either the team's going to keep 4 inside backers in their initial 53, or they're going to add somebody to another spot, like from another team. We'll find out. They did keep 4. Did they keep 4 last year? They kept 4 last year. So it's possible that that's just they're going to be done at that point, but we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough on that regard. And again, for folks that are just tuning in, the 1:00 Pacific time is the deadline when the teams have to submit their cuts, their final rosters, their 53. So that's what they've done. Tomorrow is when they finalize practice squad. So we won't know all the practice squad until tomorrow. And the teams don't have to actually release their rosters until they feel like it. And for whatever reason, the Seahawks have always been one of the last teams to do it. And it's annoying, but it's just how things work. So we'll hang out. We'll try to keep an eye on this, and we will watch it unfold together. I'll give you my live reaction. And then I'm going to jet out of here to talk to some of the players in a little bit. So sorry, did I say MVS was traded? That was a mistake. If I said he was traded, I'm wrong. He was just released. Mike Jarrell was traded. MVS was let go. So apologies if I misspoke, but yes, trying to keep too many things in my head. So where was I? I lost my train of thought. In any event, we'll kind of keep an eye on what the Seahawks are going to do. In a little bit, I'm going to jet and talk to some of the players. And then we'll be joining the Seahawks Collective at 4:00 today. And that'll be on the Seahawks Collective channel. So make sure you check that out with Mike Dugar and Annabelle Hasselback and Rob Staten. All right. So I'm really curious about what the Cardinals are going to do. And I'm going to try to find out from their beat guys kind of what's going on with the Cardinals. Let's take a look. Man, Cardinals coverage is rough. I'll tell you that much. Doesn't help that there's also a St. Louis Cardinals. But let me pull open a couple of different folks. Okay. Arizona Cardinals, 16 official reported roster cuts. McClendon Curtis, offensive lineman. We know him. Linebacker Vi Jones. I liked him when he was on the Seahawks. Simi Fehoko, the wide receiver, was a guy that they were pretty surprised that got most people that saw him thought he was going to make the team for sure. A defensive lineman, Keon Bars, was another guy that a lot of people liked, but he is gone as well. So the thing I'm really looking to see with the Cardinals is more their decision on IR. And it's possible that we won't find that out until later today. I'm checking. Nothing new there. Seahawks, nothing new. Nothing new there either. That's so annoying. All right. So as far as I'm seeing, there's not a lot going on there. NFL news, it looks like Dylan Gabriel's been named the backup to Joe Flacco in Cleveland. And so that means Shedeur Sanders is is the third quarterback, for whatever that's worth. Let's see. Not a lot else that's particularly interesting. Let's take a look at the Jaguars, because I think the Jaguars announced their pick. At least Jaguars. Let's see the Jacksonville team, and let's check out the homepage. Oh, come on. All right, 53-man roster for the Jags. We do play the Jags later this year. So do they have who they let go? They just have the roster, but they don't have. It's really annoying when they do this. The teams don't make it easy on you. Okay, let's see if this link. Okay, this is who they waived. Javon Foster, offensive line. He's somewhat interesting. I told you about Jabbar Muhammad. Yeah, God. Not some of these rosters are nasty. Let me just see if by any chance the Cardinals have done theirs. Does not look like it. Yeah, not yet. Not yet. So we wait. We wait. I can take some questions while we wait. If folks have some. Okay, I think there's did I miss a super chat? Where is this? Brian, this is Bobby. Your StreamYard needs to be updated, messing everyone's name up. But question: does the team scout other teams this time of year to snag possible waiver claims, etc.? By the way, I can't control what StreamYard pulls from YouTube as far as people's account names, but yeah, absolutely. The pro personnel department scouting year round. They're watching the preseason games. They are checking, like they're reading coverage, like everything. So they have a decent idea. They also have their college scouting, that already has a book on some of these guys. And so if they come available, then they pounce on them if there's someone that they really liked that they didn't get. So absolutely. What's your opinion on Pickett going to the Raiders? I think it's kind of shocking that anybody still continues to try to trade for Kenny Pickett. I don't think Kenny Pickett's a very good player. I don't think it matters at all. So that's kind of my take on it. They lost Aiden O'Connell, their backup, who was not going to set any records himself, but I think at least had something of interest to see if he could develop. But I mean, it's a backup quarterback. It's hard to have much of a reaction. If they get to the point where Kenny Pickett has to play, their season's already over. So, yeah, I mean, this is why I initially was interested in the possibility of Jalen Milroe playing well enough in preseason that the Seahawks would have the ability to trade Drew Lock, because Drew Lock should command more than Kenny Pickett in a deal. He's a better quarterback and like a better prospect even than Kenny Pickett. So, the Seahawks could have picked up a fifth, maybe a fourth, if they're really lucky. But in the end, it makes too much sense to have Drew Lock and Milrow on this roster. And so that was no issue, no opportunity really here. All right. Continuing to check to see if anything new has dropped since the last time we checked. The 49ers have released Robbie Chosen, a receiver. So they're clearly going to be adding receivers from elsewhere. They didn't like the guys they have. And they, even the ones that they have, they've gotten rid of. So they're going to have a pretty thin receiver room. That first game of the season is going to be interesting. All right. Looking through other pieces here. I guess what I could do for at least a few minutes, there was some other sound from Mike McDonald that I thought was interesting yesterday. So I can go ahead and play that for you guys. Why not? Since I've already got it up here, let me find it first. All right. So I asked Coach McDonald yesterday, when you're making these roster decisions, when is the situations where you might want to go with youth versus when you want to stick with experience? And here's what the coach said.
It's a good question. I think they're all independent observations. Sometimes you're going to go with how the team's going to help you right now. Sometimes you're looking at the long haul. That's where like having a great partnership with personnel and having an idea of like, hey, we're working. It's now and a long term. If you are become a little myopic and how you see the team, I think that's where guys like John, the rest of our guys up there, can give you some perspective on stuff. But I think it varies to answer your question.
So the interesting thing there is, you know, the Seahawks team's really young. And so there's some situations where I've been wondering whether or not the Seahawks would want to inject some veteran presence. The offensive line was an obvious one to me. More of what I've understood from the coaching staff, especially on the offensive line, is I think they wanted young players. Now, Will Fries was a free agent they went after, but he's also pretty young. He's in his mid-20s. Like the Kevin Zeitlers of the world, who I thought would be a great fit. Some of the veteran guys, they didn't go after, and I think it's because they prefer to develop the young players, and I think that they prefer to kind of mold them to their system. So, you look at the decision to bring in a Cooper Kupp and a decision to bring in DeMarcus Lawrence, and those are very specific veteran players who I think are going to have already injected some really positive things into the locker room and into those specific position group rooms. And so I don't know. I mean, I think he kind of catch can, but it was interesting to hear from the coach there on that regard. So let me pull open. Sorry, I think I'd have to pull it off the 1 second. I think I've got a solution here. Let me figure out if I can pull up another bit of information. I see people talking about Shiloh Sanders. And should the Seahawks get Shiloh Sanders? No, Shiloh Sanders is terrible. Like, no. Just because he's got a name, don't fall for that. All right. So there's another clip. I want to figure out where the Jalen Milrow clip. We didn't get any new updates on Riley Mills, by the way. All right. Thanks for hanging with me, guys. Gonna try to find this while live. Right. Here's, I think, the clip from Mike McDonald talking about Jalen Milroe. Let me play this for you guys. Hopefully I got this queued up correctly. Initial question was about him being a scout team quarterback.
Yeah, of course. I mean, well, first of all, he needs reps, as does Drew. And, we're going to have plays for Jalen and game plans, and he's going to rep those are the ones. And, however we build the package for him going into games, he needs those reps and walkthrough and full speed. So that's going to be important. How we do it, who gets how many reps, all that. I mean, obviously, Sam, it starts with how many reps he needs to get ready, and then we kind of work off from there.
So that was kind of the big news of that press conference yesterday, was Mike McDonald acknowledging that there's going to be a package of plays for Jalen Milroe and that he will get reps with the ones for those plays because they need to rep him at full speed. And that's not by accident that Coach McDonald shared that information. He wants other teams to know that they have to prepare for Jalen Milroe having some specialty packages. This is part of what I liked about that draft pick from the get-go, because there's, I think, a certain floor to Jalen Milroe in terms of he's not just a typical developmental quarterback. He's a guy that can be a weapon for you while he's developing his passing ability and his overall command of the system. And ironically, I saw somebody tweeting out that covers the Colts that they should do the same thing with Anthony Richardson, the number 4 pick. So, yeah. I see that Greg Bell has tweeted that Jared Ivey is on the initial 53-man roster, and so is Connor O'Toole. Pretty sure Greg's not supposed to be tweeting that. We're not supposed to share content until after practice concludes, but that would be interesting. I mean, Ivy is not a surprise. Connor O'Toole is. Now, Connor O'Toole's had a really productive preseason, but the fact that they feel good enough about him that they'd keep him on, that would be a big deal. So yeah, I'm watching the video now and I see those two guys. So Jared Ivey was always someone, like, not always, but I've had him on the roster for a while. Connor O'Toole, for me, was below Tyreek Smith as far as like how he had played, but Connor O'Toole has definitely more upside. So that's an interesting one. I don't know if Connor O'Toole will stay on the 53 or if they will end up letting him go after a little bit and trying to sneak him on the practice squad later. Because one of the things that people do is they'll keep him on the initial 53. The other teams do waivers. They set their 53, and then they're a little less likely to claim another person a couple days from now. So we'll see. The 49ers have released Robbie Chosen. Like, who are the receivers left on their roster at this point? That's kind of fascinating. Brady Henderson has tweeted, I think the Seahawks want Jamie Sheriff back on their practice squad. We'll see if he gets claimed again like he did last year. We'll find out. Brandon Ayuk has been placed on the physically unable to perform list, which again guarantees that he will not be available against the Seahawks in that first game. Let's see. Let's check out the Steelers, since the Steelers are the team the Seahawks play the second week of the season. 53-man roster. All right. Do they have? Okay. So Chuck Clark did not make it, in defensive back for them. The wide receiver Robert Woods, we knew about that. Looking through here. Initial group. Not many, nothing particularly surprising here. So nothing big for them. Let me check out the Seahawks. Seahawks.com has still not been updated with any new info. That's a shame. Seahawks making us wait as usual. Have not seen any other videos posted after Greg posted his. Wouldn't be surprised if he's been told to not do that. Okay, here's the initial 53-man roster for the 49ers. Their wide receiver is Ricky Pearsall. Jawan Jennings is on the 53. There was some question about whether they'd put him on IR because they've had this contract dispute. Doesn't happen. Jordan Watkins. So Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, Jordan Watkins, Sky Moore, and Jacob Cowing. Jacob Cowing has been injured. I don't know that he's going to be ready by week 1. So that is a very thin receiver room. They kept 10 offensive linemen and 11 defensive linemen, which is interesting. And looking at the rest of this, Upton Stout makes it, which is not a surprise. And they've got their safeties, Jason Pinnock, Marcus Siegel, Jair Brown, Richie Grant, all make it. Jake Moody is their kicker. All right, let's keep looking. Everyone's refreshing the same way I am. But let's take a look. I think there's some Arizona news that just broke. So let's talk about that. Make sure it's actually accurate first. One sec. Where is this Walter Nolan news? I'm gonna make sure. Let me look up the Arizona Cardinals guys again. I'm not seeing this Walter Nolan news that other people are reporting. So I gotta make sure I see it before I I further it. I know everyone's waiting on me and just listening to me look, but that's just the way it's going to have to be while I'm doing the show. I'm not seeing the Walter Nolan news. Now he missed all of camp. So if he starts on PUP, that would not be a surprise. Other people are talking about it, but I'm not seeing the original report. So, sorry, I can't confirm that report quite yet. Someone said Schefter tweeted it. All right, well, you'd think that would show up in my search. There it is. Cardinals first-round pick Walter Nolan is being placed on the PUP list due to a calf injury. He'll miss the first 4 games of the season. That does mean that he will miss the first game against the Seahawks. Brandon Ayuk and Malik Mustafa, the safety, are on the PUP list, so they will both not play in the first game against the Seahawks. Thank you for the pointer there and for confirming that. Okay. And then while I was gone, Italian Knight, up to his old tricks. 50 free Hawk Blogger memberships have been gifted. Appreciate that from you, dude. You can get one of these free memberships by turning gifting on your YouTube account. Just search Google if you don't know how to do that. And then going ahead and liking, subscribing, commenting, watching. That's how Google decides who gets these free memberships. If you get one, consider giving one. That's a great way to go. And also consider upgrading to a club level member. Gets you access to the Discord channel where you can hang out. We talk all the time. All right. Still, as of now, no new news on the Seahawks roster, at least off of their website. I've got probably another 10 minutes that I can hang out before I've got to head down to the VMAC myself. And separate note for people that are Mariners fans, Dylan Moore has signed a minor league deal with the Texas Rangers. So that's interesting. Yeah. So let me do a quick recap for those that are just catching up. This is what we know as of now. I will share this again. People coming in late. So green is who I projected to make the roster. Orange are the players that have officially are not going to be on the roster, at least the initial 53. So Damian Martinez, the running back, Wesley Steiner, Anthony Tyus, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the receiver, has been released. Ricky White, the third, John Rice Plumlee, Marshall Lang, the tight end. Mike Jarrell was traded to the Falcons for a conditional 2027 seventh round pick. Luke Felix Fualalo was released. And then Bubba Thomas was released. Patrick O'Connell, the linebacker, was released. Jamie Sheriff, Derek Jackson, Alfonso Tupatala, all those linebackers were released. Tyreek Smith and Seth Coleman have been released, and it looks like Connor O'Toole is going to make it. So at least initially, Jared Ivey looks like he's made it. Both of them were seen on the practice field. Then we've got at cornerback, Nehemiah Pritchett. We've got confirmation that he has made the initial 53. Demarion Williams, Isas Waxter, and K. Drain Callaghan have not. Jarek Reed has not made the initial 53. Those are the guys that we know, and there's still news to come. So we'll keep trying to find that news as soon as it breaks. For right now, the Seahawks have not updated their website with the latest, as per usual. And we're just kind of waiting to see. Now, the guys on the beat know because they're out there counting roster, counting jersey numbers, and I'm not there right now. But that is that. I'm just tweeting around, browsing around, seeing if there's any other news. Brian Schottenheimer, the coach for the Cowboys, had a long talk with Micah Parsons about his body language. He says he still believes Parsons will play against the Eagles. He'd likely be on limited reps because he hasn't been practicing. Okay. I'm not seeing a lot of things. The Colts waived Juju Brents, cornerback. It was a second-round pick a couple years ago. Was always an interesting athlete, but had not worked out for them. Let's see. The Vikings have made their moves. That's a team worth looking at. Gabriel Murphy, outside linebacker. He and Grayson, his brother, both did not make the rosters that they were trying to get on. Nick Vannett, old Seahawk tight end, does not make it. CJ Ham, a fullback, does not make it. And Jordan Addison is on reserve suspended. We knew that already. So nothing too crazy there. Let's look at the 49ers moves again. So Kevin Givens, the defensive tackle, has been placed on IR, so he will not be available in that first game. And Eutergros Matos was activated from the PUP. So it'll be interesting to see if he is actually available or not in that first part of the season. Let's see. Anybody else? Darn Seahawks making us wait. Pandemonium says breaking Caleb McGarry out for the year. It's not really breaking. I appreciate the super chat, but that's been known for a while. And yeah, he was put on IR. But appreciate that. He was injured last week, I think. People are asking, was Jacardia Wright really cut? Don't know yet. Haven't heard that officially. But my expectation is he will be. He's a guy that should be easy to get on to the practice squad if they want him. It's worth understanding that like no other updates from the Seahawks beat so far. Nick Wagner reports that even though the 49ers kept wide receiver Jacob Cowing on the roster today, that he expects them to put him on injured reserve after some additional moves are made tomorrow and Thursday. So yeah, the 49ers are in a bad way and they're just trying to put a roster together, is what's going on. A lot of people are reacting to Cole Strange being let go by the Patriots' former first-round pick. We'll see how that works out. I'm not a huge Cole Strange guy, but first-round picks that get released on the offensive line often are gobbled up elsewhere. So we'll just have to kind of see if anything develops there. My gosh. All right. Boring. Let me check Bob's list, see if anything else has changed on his list. Nothing. Guys, it is quiet. It is quiet out there. I'd love to know what the Cardinals did, honestly. That's like one of the ones I'm most curious about. And the Cardinals have also not updated. So, man, let me look at a certain guy that sometimes has some of this stuff. Steelers moves, Vikings moves, 49ers moves, Eagles moves, Rams moves, Browns moves. Yeah, nothing yet for the Cardinals. Lame. We'll have to keep refreshing. This is like, this is the worst. I think someone else is sending me some kind of info. Yeah, nothing else so far, guys. All right, I'm gonna have to jet here in a little bit, so I can go talk to some of the players. And let me just double check. Yeah, I probably have another 15 minutes, I'd say. I can probably hang out before I head out. So for people that are just joining, I will go back through and read you where we stand. We've got Damian Martinez, Wesley Steiner, Anthony Tyus, the backs released. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the receiver, released. Ricky White, John Rice Plumlee released. Marshall Lang, the tight end, released. We've got Mike Jarrell has been traded to the Falcons for a conditional 2027 7th-round pick. Luke Felix Fualalo has been released. Bubba Thomas, the nose tackle, has been released. Patrick O'Connell, Jamie Sheriff, Derek Jackson, and Alfonso Tupatala have been released on the linebacker crew. Tyreek Smith and Seth Coleman have been released. Connor O'Toole and Jared Ivey appear to have made the final roster. So congrats to those guys. Demarion Williams, the cornerback, has been released. Nehemiah Pritchett has made the initial 53. We got confirmation on that. Isaias Waxter has not. Kadrain Callaghan has not. And Jarek Reed II has not. He was released. So as of now, from my projections, the only real upset is Patrick O'Connell. A little bit that Connor O'Toole made it. I mean, you could call that an upset, but none of the top 5 guys that I picked didn't make it. So that's just a matter of keeping an extra guy. A little bit on offensive line. I had Jarrell making it. So that's an upset. That's probably the biggest upset, I would say. But so far, all my projections are looking pretty accurate. We'll find out in a little bit if that's at all the case. We will keep refreshing to find worthy news until we actually get some. Let me let's see. All right, let's take some questions. I think you guys probably have some questions. I'll take a look at those. I think I might have missed a super chat. Yeah, here's one from Will Fries. What are you most surprised by today so far? Also, what a bummer that they couldn't find a trade partner for MVS. The Mike Jarrell trade was surprising. That was definitely the most surprising. I think Patrick O'Connell being released is not like super surprising. It's not what I expected them to do, but he's probably a guy that they can sneak through. Connor O'Toole making it is probably more surprising to me than Patrick O'Connell being waived. So those are the ones that I think stand out for me as the biggest surprises. All right. Let me see. I'll take a couple questions here. Brian is agonizing. Funny. It's going to be all right. Well, it's annoying to be live and have none of this stuff to talk about. You know, we're now a full hour past the deadline, and we still have not gotten the final word about the Seahawks or about the Cardinals. Why? Like, they can't change it. It's not like there's some advantage you get because it's already been submitted to the NFL and you cannot change it. So my goodness. That is annoying. All right. I am going to hang out for another 5 minutes at most, and then I got a jet. So let's see. Matt Barrows says the 49ers have 2 healthy receivers on their 53-man roster, Ricky Pearsall and Sky Moore. Juwan Jennings could possibly join that list. Russell Gage is a practice squad elevation possibility, but the 49ers are going to be adding to the receiver room. That's pretty clear. All right, the Packers just released their 53. So did they announce their roster moves? Okay, yeah, they did. I'm looking through Mecole Hardman. Kind of interesting. Was released. Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker, was released. So at least this means initially that Romeo Doubs makes their roster, and Romeo Doubs is a guy that people thought could be traded. Wouldn't be shocked if the Packers and 49ers do a deal there. That would not shock me. Arizona Cardinals have activated guard Will Hernandez from PUP. That's an interesting one. All right. Arizona Cardinals list. We got it. All right. Keon Barrs, I talked to you about, has been released. Running back Michael Carter's been released. Oh, Jake Curran. released. Running back DJ Dallas has been released. Let's see. And then Will Hernandez gets activated from PUP. That's a big deal for them. That means he will be available to play against the Seahawks in week 4 if they decide to do that. And then the Cardinals placed Bilal Nichols, defensive lineman, and Walter Nolan and linebacker BJ Ojolari on the PUP. So none of those 3 guys, Nichols, Nolan, or Ojolari, will be available for the first game against the Seahawks. I don't think that's a huge, and the Walter Nolan one's the biggest one because I think he's going to be pretty darn good, but the rest of this, not huge, not huge. All right. Now here's what I'm going to do, folks, just to give you the best possible chance that I can react to live. I'm going to put a pause on this. I'm going to go get all ready. And then I will come back one last time to find out if any of this sticks, if we get any new news. And if not, I'm going to end the show there. But for now, hang out, and I will be right back. All right. I'm going to put this here so you guys can see. I'll put the whole roster up. I'll zoom out a little bit so you guys can see where things stand with the roster. All right. That is where things stand now. I will be back in just a bit. All right, folks. I have waited as long as I can wait. I will go through the roster one more time with you, what we know. Then I got to head down to the VMAC and talk to some folks. So, as of now, they have not announced all these moves. We'll see. Everyone else in the division has. They turned in their cuts an hour and a half ago, and we still don't know all of them. But here's what we know. Damian Martinez has been released, the running back. Wesley Steiner, Anthony Tyus. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has been released, was not traded, was released. Ricky White, John Rice Plumlee released. Marshall Lang, the tight end. Mike Jarrell was traded to the Falcons for a 2027 conditional 7th-round pick. Luke Felix Fualalo was released. Bubba Thomas, the nose tackle, was released. Patrick O'Connell, in a little bit of a surprise, the inside linebacker, was released, as was Jamie Sheriff, Derek Jackson, and Alfonso Tuputala. And then edge players, Tyreek Smith and Seth Coleman have been released. Jared Ivey and Connor O'Toole look like they have made it based off video that Greg Bell shared from practice just a little while ago. Cornerback, Demarion Williams, Isas Waxter, and Kadrain Callaghan have been released. Nehemiah Pritchett has made the 53, according to Brady Henderson. Jarek Reed, the safety, has been released, and that's where things stand. That's where things stand as of now. Not a lot of upsets out there, but that's where things stand. I will do one more quick review of all the different places to see if there's any new news before I head out. I will warn you. We'll warn you that the Seahawks Collective show will be at 4:00 Pacific time today instead of 5:00. So I will see you at 4:00 with Michael Sean Dugar and not Elizabeth. I'm going to make that mistake before. Annabelle Hasselback and Rob Staten. So see you at 4:00. I will be likely in a parking lot somewhere waiting before I go into my doctor's appointment. And then there's a chance I'll do a show later, but pretty unlikely, I would say. We'll see. We'll see how I feel if there's anything big that comes out. Yeah, I think that's what we got, folks. I think that's what we got to this point. I'm not seeing anything new that would make me hang around. I'm sure as soon as I get into the car, we will get the information, and that's just the way things work. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everyone that gave super chats. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to the show, please do that. Make sure you tune in tomorrow when we have our Seahawks prediction show. And Thursday, I'm going to do a season preview. So, yeah, that is going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. I probably am not going to post this up as an audio podcast. Don't think it would make great audio listening, but that'll do it. All right, everybody. Until next time, I'm Brian M. Hauser. This has been another episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. Take care.